Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Couple of Nukes. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Whiskey. And who out there wants to be happy and full of joy and peace? I doubt there's many of us who would say no. We all want joy. But the thing is, a lot of us tie our joy to an identity, whether that's being a mom, a dad, a husband, a wife, maybe being a certain employee or employer, but those things can be temporary. And when that goes away and you lose yourself, you lose your joy. So today I have for y'all a joy coach here to help you find that joy that is within you, that we all have within us. Ms. Moj, would you please introduce yourself for us?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for having me, Whiskey. I'm excited to be here. Yes, my name is Moj Razmi, and as Mr. Whiskey explained, I am a joy coach, and as one of my clients coined it for me, was also a spiritual catalyst. So I believe that joy is our innate right. We are born with it. And as children, we won't do anything if it's not fun. We won't do anything if it
Yeah.
doesn't bring us joy and laughter. It could be a puddle of mud that as an adult we think is ridiculous, but as a child, it's like a whole lot of fun. So we're gonna jump into it. Doesn't matter how muddy we get. So my work is to remind, to bring us back home so we can remember that joy and to discover that innate joy and have it from within us versus from the how the society and how the economy wants us to find it outside. No, to kind of find it from inside. So regardless of any other variables, we'll have it.
Yeah, you touched upon something so interesting that I want to discuss for a little bit, which is the difference in joy between adulthood and childhood.
Yes.
For example, what I thought of, you were talking about kids won't do something if it doesn't bring them joy, if it's not fun or happy. And a lot of kids don't like eating vegetables. Now, they'll eat vegetables if they like it, if they think it tastes good, it makes them happy. But most kids don't like the taste of them and they'll throw it away, whatever they do, they'll make a mess. And the way my mom got me to eat broccoli was she would melt all cheese on top of it, and cheese is joy. So therefore, the broccoli became joy. But
Yes.
think about this, in adulthood, you were the same way. I mean, our taste buds change slightly, but a lot of us, we don't eat vegetables because we enjoy it. The joy comes from being healthy. And so what we get to in adulthood is really we look past the temporary to the long term, the multiple steps of joy. For example, I remember years ago I had read this study that there was a social experiment where children of various ages were presented this opportunity. You can
Mhm.
have one marshmallow right now, or you can wait a few minutes and have two. A
Yes, I remember that.
majority of children chose the instant gratification, what brought them joy faster. The
Yes.
older the children got, the more likely they were to wait, to have that self-discipline, knowing that we can bring about greater joy if we wait. So it's interesting to look at how joy changes, how our happiness and our gratification goes from instant to having a more discipline and waiting for greater rewards.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that social media hasn't made instant gratification even more ingrained in everyone. And it's definitely interesting what we place our joy in. And speaking of social media, just investing our happiness in followers and likes and attention. But Moj, we got to start with your personal journey of discovering joy, your ups and downs that you've been through throughout the years that led you to where you are today.
Yeah. So I want to go back on a couple things you've mentioned.
For
So
sure.
all of things are kind of learned as far as, as children, the taste is one of the strongest senses. That's why
Yeah.
whatever children grab, like they can grab dog poop. First thing they do, they put it in their mouth because that's how they can figure out
Right.
what it is and kind of distinguish it. That's a very primal way of saying if something is okay or something is not, something is good,
Yeah.
safe or not safe, or very importantly, edible or not. So, but one of the thing is that this is kind of may diverge the conversation elsewhere, but I'm going to just touch upon it very quickly.
Okay.
Is the way we fed our children, the way we trained their taste buds into liking certain things like salt and sugar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what takes them away from vegetables.
Mm.
So if you keep the palate clean for the kid, if the kid is being breastfed or whatever that needs to be, and then they move into, let's call it, I don't know, clean food, they would be okay eating vegetables.
Yeah.
It's just in the combination that you give them. But when you start the kids with the food that the food industry, that the way that it has all this sugar and all this salt and all these
Mm.
flavors in it, then the vegetable becomes really bland. So even as an adult, I do have a holistic way of eating also. So for me, a cucumber tastes very differently. Like I savor a cucumber, but somebody
Mm.
else might, cucumber doesn't taste like anything.
Right.
People don't like bitter taste, but bitter is one of the tastes that you ought to try. You got to have in your
Yeah.
diet. So when you have the bitter system, it actually accentuates other flavors, tastes. So that you know, that
Yeah.
is,
You
and
give them options. You show them
yeah,
grass is greener on the other side of the fence kind of thing. So
yes,
you say, hey, here's this other option that might be better tasting, but not better for you. I think you're absolutely right, especially when you look at humans and their existence with nature. Vegetables are found in the wild. M&Ms and M's and Hershey bars are not.
no.
I
So
wish they were.
you do have this analogy in coaching that when you want to work with your client, you offer them chocolate covered broccoli
Mm,
because nobody wants broccoli. They say, a lot of people like broccoli, but when offer them chocolate cover broccoli. So then you give them what they want, but then you give them what they actually need.
right.
So put all that bucket aside. What was your question?
Yeah, so your personal journey with joy and hardship over the years, how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I'm full of stories, I'm generation, I call it zero, but usually they say generation one in US. So I have a lot of stories. I come from my country is Iran. I went through a couple of wars, revolution. I have a very strong female bond with leaders in my hierarchy of family. And so there's a lot of stories and there's a lot of things that I can tell that, a lot. Yeah, I actually need to get a ghostwriter so we can put
Yeah.
something. But I think one of the main things that was for me was I was the second child of the family. There was only me and my brother. And my brother he's a 3.5 years older than me, 3 and 9 months older than me. And he innately is very kind, very charming, very easygoing, and very accommodating. So he was off the bat as a baby, he was the favorite in the family amongst the cousins, and then here comes me, afterwards. So, and I'm following my brother like he's the god because he's older, he's like there for me and all of that. But then what it was is I realized that if I don't complain, if I don't cry, I don't get any attention because he had it all. He had all the attention. So it was to a point that I was basically became one of those whiny kids. Like I remember maybe I was 3 or 4 years old. I was very young, and I remember this very distinctly. And my mom was a very busy woman. She worked. She had her own career. She was doing things. So to get my mom's attention, it was challenging for me. And I was always very playful. To this day, I won't do anything if it's not fun. So I'm
Right.
very playful, and I want to do fun things. And so I was very close with my grandma. And I remember I was sitting with my grandma, and my grandma kind of came to my level and she goes, you know what, Moj, you can be sad now or you can be happy now, no
Mm,
matter what difficulty you have. But if you look at it later, when you're a grown person, you would say, wow, things were so odd and hard, and I still was happy. So you will be happy here because of that. However, if you're complaining and angry and upset, you would look back and you would say, things weren't that bad. And I was so upset and so angry. Then you would become angrier that you were angry
yeah.
and you would blame yourself. And that somehow, even though I was very young, hit me like in a at the right spot. And I became, it was just like that over that conversation, I became kind of like a happy-go-lucky kind of a kid.
Mm.
Um, I literally became very oblivious about the things that were going on,
Yeah.
were that coming at me. And to be honest with you, even throughout my adulthood, I have a technical background. I have an engineering background I went to school at UC Berkeley, and I was in a high tech for 13, 15 years. And that saved me. That was such a survival skill for me, to be oblivious to comments, being a woman in the industry, being in high tech,
Right.
male driven. And this is like 30 some years ago when I was working. So it's very different, the
Yeah, yeah,
dynamic
of course.
now. So that kind of gave me this beautiful shield to kind
Mm.
of just do my own thing, have my own thing. And even though the work was very serious, it was very masculine energy, I still had my own clan of people around me that we would have fun
Right.
as we're doing serious work, as we
Yeah.
were doing serious work and serious money was coming in. But we were still having, I would infuse these pointers of fun. So that time for me helped me a lot throughout my life, throughout my teenage years, through the revolution and toward coming to US and being Generation Zero without and having 5 jobs and going to engineering school.
Right.
uh, I could be kind of like have all these sob stories, but I still kept my head high and I still had fun. I still, climbed trees and enjoy life and played volleyball and went to the beach. And I still found ways to do what it is that I innately enjoy in life.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. And there's definitely a lot of, I think it's important what you said is if you look back and you just think to yourself, I was always so unhappy because of things that didn't matter, and then you regret that. Regret is one of the most powerful emotions when it comes to eating away at a person and just really making their life miserable. So like you said, it's so much better to just be happy because the oftentimes, as they say, tomorrow's gonna come regardless, right? So you can either be sad or, move forward with it. So I think that's an important message for everyone to have. And
Yeah.
so, what are you doing with your life now as a transformational coach and a joy coach and a spiritual catalyst? What is your day-to-day life looking like, working with clients and helping them? What exactly do you do?
Well, the work I do is it's more of an inside kind of a job work. So
Yeah,
to me is no matter what you do, no matter what you need to get done, you got to address this.
right.
So you can always, say, oh, I'm going to wear this kind of a clothes, I'm going to match the color with my eyes, and I'm going to lose this much weight, and I'm going to exercise and all of that. All of that is great. It would release some dopamine, it will release some serotonin, and it's cool. You will feel good. But the thing is, there is the moment that you're gonna come home and you're gonna be by yourself in
Yeah.
your, in your PJs, in your raggedy clothes, and
Right.
that's when that counts. Like, so literally, who you are when nobody's watching is what that matters.
Mm.
Who you are when nobody's watching. So there's this story that this guru sends one of the disciples to go on a silent retreat kind of by themselves up the mountain.
Yeah.
And after like several weeks, he comes back. And on the way back, when he comes back, the guru says, so what happened for you? So he tells them all the story. And he said, did you do anything that you think you shouldn't have? He said, no, I was really good below. But you know what? On the way back, I kind of like throw my garbage in the hill. And the guru says, oh boy, your thing is kind of wiped out, like the work you did is wiped out. He goes, but nobody saw it. He goes, yeah, but you saw it. So it doesn't matter what is it that happens in the outside or doesn't happen in the outside.
Right.
It matters what happens inside and what it is that we see from ourselves, what it is that the conversations that we are having with ourselves, and all of that matters. So my work is more on that domain. I do have, my work is very spiritually oriented. I'm not religious, but my work is very spiritually oriented. I get downloads that as I speak with clients, And my thing is that, again, as a catalyst, I create a space for them to come up with what it is that they truly want. And
Right.
when you pinpoint what is it that you truly want, then having it is not that difficult. Because
Yeah.
when you truly know what you want, the work that you do may look hard to other people, but to you is not. It's pure joy. It's pure inspired action, and it comes with a lot of joy too. And it's like everybody else is. How do you do these things? It's like, how do you wake up that early? How do you that? You're like, I just do. It's it's like I do it with so much enthusiasm, so much fun. I just do. So that's basically in a nutshell how I, work with individuals or in groups even. It's I can give steps. I can give 7 ways to do this, 10 ways to
Right.
do that. But it's more of what it is that you want. And then you would know what the next step is.
Yeah,
And
for
then you know
sure.
what next, and then it's more of progress over perfection, kind of like one step at a time. And before you know it, they say, like, sometimes people say, oh, I can't do that thing because it's going to take 4 years. Yeah, but if you do it, start today, it's going to take 4 days, years and 1 day less, 4 years and 2 day less, 4 years and 1 month less. And before you know it, the 4 years over. But if you never start, it's always 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. If you don't start,
Yeah.
I think that's always great. It starts with the first step, and you can either make when people push it off, you have zero progress made, and then you have to start from zero later on. And it's only most of the times it only gets more difficult in life when you push things off. But what you talk about, I think, is important more now than ever before, knowing what you want, what you actually want, because so many people are stemming their joy from what their parents want, what their friends want, what their job wants, what social media wants, what the system wants, whatever it may be, if not a combination of all of the above. And they're not really having a what they want. Some of this is conscious decision making because of peer pressure, and some of this is just subconscious because of the force feed of social media, main news outlets, or just also, especially when you were raised a certain way. Sometimes you're raised in an environment where you can't think independently. And I've had a couple episodes on the show discussing all of that and how important it is to know what you want. And I'm sure you've had clients where you ask them that question and they say, I don't know.
It's not a client. It's to be honest with you, Mr. Whiskey, it's like most people don't know what they want,
Yeah.
and or they think they know what they want. But when they go deep, they don't know what they want, and they know what they don't want, which is a clue. They know what they don't want. So if you ask them, like somebody who says, hey, I don't like the way my relationship with my other half. And then you tell them, what do you want? And then they say, oh, I want to be trustworthy, and I want to be happy, and I want to, and you're like, what does that look like? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And that scares them, because what they have to put in to have that, they're not willing to put in that.
Yeah.
They're scared of putting that. And it's also something that they may have not experienced, so they don't really know what that looks like. And all of that basically means that you got to go and you got to create your own story. You got to create your own movie.
Yeah.
And as you do whatever you do now, that's how it is. Like that, the thing that, if you're upset and then you'll be more upset later, that's how you create your past. So whatever you're doing now, it's going to be something that you look back tomorrow, it's your past.
Yeah.
So you always have a chance to recreate what it is that you want, but it takes that inspired action to get it, to make it happen.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point you're making, which is it requires work. And I know people are thinking, but you all said that, joy is an innate right that everyone has. That is true. But joy is also something that you have to work for in some sense. Yeah, sure, it's can be easily earned or given by the stuff around us, but our true joy for what we really want in life, that requires you to put in work. And a lot of times the greater your ambitions and the larger the thing, whether that's a certain goal or many goals that will bring you joy, they're going to require more work. And one thing I want to go back to that you said is I pulled up a Bible quote from Genesis 29. So Jacob served 7 years to get Rachel, but they seemed like only a few days to him because of his love for her. And I bring that up because you talked about how when you are actually bringing and getting joy or happiness from something, that time will go by. And that example is specifically for love, but I think true love brings great joy. And so not only is pushing it off, just delaying it and making it more difficult, but it's that time needs to start and that time will go by. If you are truly, like you said, if you truly enjoy something, the work there is going to be difficult, but also the more work you put in to have your joy, all the more joyous you'll be to look back and be like, wow, look at what I accomplished to get here, to have this joy. And so I think it's really important. And like you said, a lot of people just have, I'll call it surface level answers. I want to be X, Y, and Z, but they can't go deeper on that. I think it's the same with their purpose, which is part of their joy. When people think they know their purpose and then you ask them and they tell you kind of what they do or why they're doing it, but they don't go deeper into why. So I think articulating why you want something, why you need something is so important to that. And that's something that you help them with, correct?
Yes, yes. And the thing is, when we talk about work, as far as, the work that you do for your purpose, or what is it that you truly want, there's no problem with hard work. There's no problem.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with that. However, hard work with, because I'm in Bay Area. I'm in California, in Bay Area. I'm in Silicon Valley, and I see a lot of hard work that it comes with a lot of agony. It comes with a
Yeah.
lot of pain. It comes with a lot of agony. And however, you can still do that hard work. Meanwhile, enjoy what it is that you're doing. Make the best out of what it is that you're doing. And the work is actually, it's not in doing, it's more in undoing,
Mm.
because it's our perception. Because when it is that I'm working for, let's say I'm working for money, I want to have more of the stock options, I want to have the promotion, I want to have a bigger pie, slice of the pie for my promotion, all of that. When my goal is that, that's when I become like, God, I gotta get this. I gotta get this.
Yeah.
And you're just like hanging with, nail and teeth. And, you're just like kind of like
Right.
doing, working 500 hours a week, to make it happen and all of that. Whereas if you are doing your work, sometimes we may have to do a work that is not in full alignment with us, because we just have to
Yeah.
do, so we can do that other thing. But we can still say, hey, I'm doing this because, as you said, my why for that. But meanwhile, we can still have this pleasant, enjoyable. We still can make friends. We still have a good time connecting with people, and doing our best in learning what it is that we need to do, and performing in what it is that new. So all of that takes a lot of undoing in here
Yeah.
for that to show up outside.
Yeah, for sure. So as we start to close up here, I will have the ladies and gentlemen, the website, Moj's website will be in the description below. But Moj, who should visit that? I know you mentioned master classes and coaching. So can you tell us a little bit more about your website and what you do and who should reach out to you?
Yeah, so my website, I actually created that site maybe a few years back. So
Yeah,
and I wrote it myself. So I actually
it's
took a
awesome.
course and I wrote it myself. And don't ask me to do it again. But nowadays I believe it's much easier to create
Oh
that
yeah.
that way. But I do have a Facebook is the best way. to get in touch with me, so I can, you can tag me in there, or I can go tag myself in there. I have an ebook that I put out recently, which is called The Beginner Guide for Empty Nesters Rediscovering Joy. This is the cover, and it's called New Chapter, New Joy Starts Here. And that's in my private group, which is called the Global She Circle. And She stands for Support, Harmony, and Empowerment. There in the guide section. And again, I do have people, I'm aiming more for empty nesters, but I do have people who don't even have children that show up to my session. So I have a Instagram account. My handle is Coach Moj. And that's a name that my kids and their friends gave me because I coached most of their sport teams. So I became Coach Moj very early on. My kids are adults now. And so I picked that name up as Coach Moj. And so Facebook would be a good place, which is more up to date as far as information. And people can get to know me more and see if you're the right fit for them to have a conversation with me.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, we'll have the Facebook link in the description below so y'all can just go straight to that and find what you need. And Moj, I really appreciate having you on the show and sharing this. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you or someone you know, if something just doesn't feel right, if you don't feel like you have joy in your life or you're having more trouble feeling that joy than usual, definitely be sure to check out Moj's Facebook and her website and share this episode with whoever might need it. That way they can rediscover that joy in their life. But Moj, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate the work you do and spreading the word for us. And power to you. Thank you so much, Whiskey.
Sailing through the ocean blue, nuclear reactors my crew, guiding the ship, the stars as our guide, through the waves we ride, jokes and laughter fill the air. On this voyage we have to share, working together, side by side, as one family we will abide. In the heart of the ship we reside, nuclear operators with pride, powering the vessel with every stride. Our mission, a source of great pride.